So when you've kind of had a little mini practice of those techniques that we looked at in the last video, you're going to kind of combine some of them to put together a tiger themed face paint. So I'm doing mine on the block, which means it's not going to absorb the paint the same as what skin is. So when you come to doing it on your block, you're going to have to kind of just experiment on how to mix the paint so that it's not going to drip off of the face. It's also just worth saying that face painting, like proper professional face painting, is very different from what I'm going to show you here. There are special techniques for that. What I'm showing you is playing with paints and different brushes and just getting used to blending and working with face paint. So if you want to blend more than one colour together, you need to blend them whilst they're wet. If you try and blend a wet face paint on top of a dry face paint, it will either just sit on top or it will remove what's underneath. So I'm using 4 different colours, white, yellow, orange and red, and I want to merge them all together to create a fade. So I'm doing that by using quite a dense foundation or powder brush, something that's quite compact, that picks up a lot of colour and not too much water, and then I'm placing it all on, and whilst it's still wet, I'm just swishing and flicking the brush back and forth to merge the colours together. It takes a little bit of work, and you kind of have to repeat yourself and go back over, once you've done one bit, you might have to go over it a few times to really bring the colours together, but it's worth doing it to build up an opaque, nicely blended finish. So I'm trying to get a flicky-ish texture on this, and in a minute I will use a fan brush and create even more of a kind of flicky fur-like texture. But the point is, if you want to blend colours together, they have to be wet. They have to have a lot of pigment in the paint, not runny paint, and you're going to have to spend time kind of working them and melting them together. So all those colours have combined, and now I've got a big dense brush with paint on it that is very solid, it's not wet at all, and I'm just gently dragging that paint out, and it will start to merge with the slightly damp base layers. And I want this to look a little bit textured because I'm going for a tiger. It's very basic, kiddie looking, but a tiger kind of theme. So yeah, any foundation brushes you've got, any powder brushes you've got are going to be useful, especially when it comes to full body paint, because never in a million years would you want to spend your time body painting with a tiny little sponge. A sponge will absorb a lot of product and will not allow you to blend as fluidly as a brush will. So when it comes to body painting, a kabuki brush or a dome brush, big powder brush, is going to lather up the paint and get it on quickly. And then you can spend your time going in with different colours and kind of working them back and forth until you get a blend and a very opaque finish. I don't want to see any patches. I don't want to be able to see through the paint. I just want it to look like a solid colour. So there's looks like a heat map of a human body, when you can see the heat. Anyway, I'm going in and then brightening up white over the eyebrows, and then I'm going to just add with another dense fluffy brush a bit of orange over the nose, and I've left it kind of flicky on the edges to look furry. Little pink tiger nose. And now I'm going to use black and my thick thin technique that we looked at in the previous video. So this is a kind of zebra stripe, tiger stripe technique where you just push down and pull up and push down and pull up as you drag the brush, and it gives you a wavy kind of natural, organic looking kind of line. You can do little bits, big lines, curves, dots, and just fill it in with little bits of detail. Like I said, this is not, I'm doing this really quickly. This is not designed to be a flawless, blended, beautiful look. And that's something that you got to get used to in body painting, is that up close, yes, it will have some detail and some texture and it will look nice, but it's not going to look as perfect as a beautifully blended face makeup. This is designed to be seen from a distance. It's got to look good across the whole body. So experiment with kind of line work, dots, dashes over the top and layer up till you have a basic tiger paint. So the next bit is just a super sped up time lapse of me doing a slightly more detailed version, this time with stamping, mottling, flicking, all of that stuff to create a really like textured finish. Stippled cheeks, lots of layers flicked together to make like a fur effect, and more line work, dots and dashes. So that's what you're aiming to do.